What's going on, everyone? Today we're talking about three-tiered worm farms and why, if you're a beginner worm farmer considering worm farming, this might be one of the systems to consider for you. So you'll see a lot of different three-tiered worm farm systems. They all operate pretty similar. You're going to have your working bin, a second bin, which can be used for working, and a catch bin. This one holds all the liquids that can pass through the system if you have too much. Typically they'll have a tap. This is obviously a DIY system where I've put 8mm holes around the rim of 2 tubs to be the working tubs, and then added a spigot at the bottom to drain off the waste. One problem I found with DIYing this is you really need legs on a system like this. So if you're planning to DIY a system with a spigot, then definitely plan on having it raised up so you're not cracking the bottom tub, because the bottom tub is going to have to be swapped out for a solid tub, which we're just going to use as a catch tray. There's going to be just browns in the bottom, and that'll be emptied maybe once a month, but we'll address that very soon. So let's start by showing you how the top works in the working tub. Always a big reveal time. Let's see how we're doing. Now, I am so confident that this system is brilliant for beginner worm farmers that this system has actually been inherited by my mother. So this is my mother's worm farm, and you can see she's doing incredibly well. Really happy, healthy worms. In this system, if you're DIYing again, it's good to use some risers between each level. That way you don't get too much compaction, and also it'll give the worms somewhere to climb up to change which level they're working as well. Again, with this system, personally, I recommend building a nice stockpile of browns and then just feeding directly into the center and then covering it with a lot of brown material. That way you've always got lots of brown material for the worms, always got lots of material to cover over any food scraps with, and you can see you can definitely have an incredibly healthy population of worms going on in one of these bins. So this is obviously the working bin. It was fed recently. You could see there is a bit of rice in there. I'm not sure if you can see that. So this first layer is the working bin, and the second layer, because this tub's been operating for a couple of years now, the bottom layer almost always has some finished castings in there, which we're essentially waiting for the worms to migrate up into this working tub. So I shall show you some of the larger worms which typically hang out in the bottom tub, and they will eventually migrate up, but for my purposes I'm quite happy to have them in there because it helps me inoculate the garden and different worm bins. So let's see how we go. As I mentioned, lots of adult worms, lots of completely finished castings. I like to leave some woody material, and I recommend people leaving woody material in their bins. This way when you transfer the bins and put fresh bedding, you've got some really heavy carbon inoculation points where lots of microbes are going to be hiding out. It'll help the next layer take off very quickly. But as you can see, this is completely ready to be harvested. With this system, if you ever find that they're really, really dry, You can wet the bins directly. It's not something I ever recommend. I think controlling the moisture with wet food is always going to be more beneficial. But with the catch tray at the bottom, it does enable you to rinse through and control any high salt potential going on in here. Worms are obviously weeing the whole time, so ammonia, urea, they are potentially building up if you're not emptying your bins very often. But these get often emptied very often, so that's not particularly a concern for how I operate these tubs or how I recommend them to be fed. But as you can see, super simple system. Every time your top layer gets full, it enables you to empty this bottom layer, harvest all the castings that you require, and then you put your nice empty tub straight back on top, and that becomes your new working bin. It can't really get more simple, and I don't believe there's too many ways you can mess this up. Temperature is potentially a factor to worry about, but I think if you're concerned about getting started, concerned you might not have all the time in the world, these kind of tub systems will last months without you checking on them if you forget about it. You might have the odd escapee with the large aeration holes, but airflow holes. But this is a very, very user-friendly, beginner user-friendly system. And the system you're looking at, I built for, I believe it was under £30, including the spigot. £7 per tub. Probably cheaper if I bought them without the lids, because I only needed one. This system, you don't necessarily need to have cardboard on top, but I'm a big fan of having the browns available at the top. And we all know worms love a bit of cardboard. So if you enjoyed this content, please consider giving us a like. And if you want to see more, we do have some mushroom cultivation videos on the way very soon. So if you're thinking about growing mushrooms this winter time, we'll be preparing some substrates, and then in the following weeks we'll be growing mushrooms together. So hit the subscribe as well down below. That's it for this week, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.